Reynolds number. So what is Reynolds number? It's a number that tells you whether the flow is streamlined or not. No, in a very simple way, it's a value that tells you whether the flow of the fluid is streamlined or not. Okay. So NR. That's how we should write it. NR. Okay. Reynolds number. See, I am not going to the derivation of how we get this formula. Okay. So NR, Reynolds number. First of all, it is equal to rho into V into D by eta. Okay. It is actually a ratio of stress and strain. Okay, it is actually a ratio of stress and strain for a flowing fluid, right? But like I said, I am not going to worry about it too much. Book I am not going to discuss it because it's not at all important for any exam, right? So NR is rho V into D by eta. What are these things? Rho, of course, is density of the fluid. That is very easy to pick. V for speed of fluid. D for diameter of the pipe. Okay, this is only valid for pipe. Okay, D for diameter of pipe in which it is flowing. Suppose it's not a pipe. What if it's something like this? Let's say it's a dock. You understand what's a dock? Let's say it's a hollow cuboid and in it fluid is flowing. So pipe they would say, but it's not circle. Make sense?
Yes.
So such a thing is called a duct. DUCT. Right? Okay. So what if it's not like a pipe, not a cylindrical shape? Instead of that, if it's cuboidal shape, then D becomes width. Instead of diameter, you could use width. Okay? Never hesitate to do that. Circle is the diameter, no, it's the width. Good. Remember? And eta, I am sure by now you remember what it is. Okay, coefficient of viscosity of that fluid. So, what does this number tell you? It tells you again, like I said, whether the flow is streamlined or not. Okay. Remember that there are three cases. Number one, if NR, then Reynolds number, is less than 1000. If Reynolds number is less than 1000, then we say that the flow is steady or streamlined. I'm sure as soon as I write this, you're going to have a couple of questions, and I have my answers ready. Okay. The second one is it's somewhere about 2000 to 1000 to 2000. Then we say that it is unstable flow. And finally, if you have NR greater than 2000, greater than 2000, then it is turbulent flow. Now let's go through what is the meaning of each of these step by step. And then I'll also tell you why we have something like this. Okay, qualitative discussion. Okay, here. NR less than 1000. That indicates streamline. We already know what is streamline, right? I'm not going to explain what is meaning of a streamline. For the second case, when NR is between 1000 and 2000, you have it as unstable flow. Unstable means sometimes this, sometimes that. So this is like middle ground. Okay? At some places with NR between 1000 and 2000 is going to behave as if it's steady flow. At some places, suddenly things will change and it will become turbulent. Is that okay? Right? And this one, turbulent means completely, violating all the ideas of streamlined flow. Kahin nakki જ નહીં. Understood? Right? And in turbulent flow, particles could be going here and there. There's a lot of randomness. That's called turbulent. Again, unstable is where sometimes it becomes steady and then sometime later once again it will become turbulent. I hope you understood the difference between three. One thing to note is that NR depends on V, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
NR depends on V. V, that is speed. Higher the speed, higher the NR, correct? What that means is when liquid is flowing slowly, when fluid flows slowly, at that time it is likely to be streamlined. I hope that makes sense. Clear? Because NR would be less. If value of V is less, NR would also be less. I hope everyone is seeing. Then as value of V will increase, NR will also increase and the flow would start getting unstable and then finally turbulent for a very high. Right? So what are examples of steady flow? Let's say water is flowing in a small stream. You know what are streams, correct? Yes or no? Not a river, I am saying a small stream. It will be flowing slowly and it would not be very wide. You see? When it's flowing, it won't be very wide. Value of V will also be small. At that point, there will be stream. If you compare that with a river during floods, obviously, let's say the river here, Bhokao. The river kiddu to kai odd like it. Okay, so let's say you consider its width. It's fairly broad, isn't it? Right? It would be at least 100 meters or more than that broad, correct? And suppose there is a flood. So at that time, speed of water flowing in it would also be increased. So because both of these would be very high, NR will also be high. So that in that situation, the flow is more likely to be turbulent. Make sense? So in turbulent flow, you cannot predict what's going to happen. એટલે અમુક લોકો બહુ હિંમત કરી સ્વિમિંગ કરવા જાય એવું લાગે કે અહીંયા તો સ્લોલી જાય છે કઈ વાંધો નહીં આવે બટ બીકોઝ ઇટ્સ ટર્બ્યુલન્ટ યુ નેવર નો થિંગ્સ આર ગોઈંગ ટુ ચેન્જ વેરી ક્વિકલી એટલે અત્યારે એવું લાગે કે હા બહુ ધીમે ધીમે પાણી જાય ઓકે વીલ બી એબલ ટુ સ્વિમ ઓકે those people who anyone who knows how to swim would be confident because the water is flowing slowly એમાં કંઈ ન થાય but then suddenly things would change and the speed would increase. Not only that, direction could also increase. પહેલા water આમ જતો તો એ આમ આવવા માંડે તો જમીન સાથે પટકાઈ જાય. You get that? Right? So such cases or such things happen because of turbulent flow. Understood? Right? Because there you can't predict anything. Everything will keep changing here and there. Right? So these are two examples of what a steady flow and what a turbulent flow could be. Right? Of course, you see, you can change a steady flow to turbulent flow by a few ways. First is increase in speed. Second is increase in width or diameter through which it is flowing. Water pipe madi turbulent. Have you noted steady and turbulent even when you take water out of your tap? If you open it a little bit, you'll see it's flowing very predictably. But if you will open the tap completely, so you would have noted that. Right? So that's the difference again. Right? One more way is to throw obstacles. Suppose water is flowing in, let's say, some streamline flows, and you put some obstacle in between, what's going to happen? When it will hit it, so at that time the flow's properties are going to get changed. Make sense?
Yes.
Right? So this is also what causes turbulent flow, right? So that's what is about Reynolds number and its relation with these. Now, one question that I do get almost every year is, sir, what if this? આમાં તો less than 1000 છે, આમાંથી તો 1000 ઉપર. Then let me tell you that these values are only approximate. They are so approximate that different authors on the same subject don't even agree with each other. ઘણી બુક્સમાં unstable flow છે ને 2000 ઉપર જ લખે છે. That is, according to some authors, steady flow is less than 2000. Very much, right? And according to them, turbulent flow would start beyond 3000. You should confirm it with your book. તમારી book માં આમાં લખ્યું છે કે હું બીજી રીતે કહું છું એવું લખેલું છે. Ready? Again, remember, there is no right approach to this because it is approximate. Not given it here. Arey wow. In new books it's not given. Sudhri kya jo. Why is it not given? You know, because like I said, listen to this. This is a slightly, girls, either it's there or it's not there. There's no need to talk about that. So, because it's a slightly higher level topic and it's not possible to explain every detail of this part. Right? કારણ કે તમારે એટલું બધું fluid mechanics એમાં આવતું નથી. So, that's why it's possible that they would have removed. Okay, this is arbiter.
Yes, sir.
Is it in whose book this topic is given? Reynolds number. And in whose it's not given. Okay. The remaining don't have it. Okay. Exam માં ન પૂછાય એવું કઈ નથી, પૂછાય. Remember everyone, listen to this. I don't know whether it's already clear to you by now or not, but in 11th standard, the aim for me at least would be to prepare you for NEET completely, whatever we can. Right? એટલે હું તો કઈ એવું ઇગ્નોર જ કરીશ કે 11th માં તમારી કઈ સ્કૂલની એક્ઝામ હોય. Right? So don't worry too much about that. In 12th standard, then we'll have to divide our attention to both. But even then, mostly, I'll say that because it's physics, in physics you don't get to write theories. એટલે એટલું સારું છે. ગમે તેમ તો ન્યુમેરિકલ્સ કરવાનું. ન્યુમેરિકલ્સ કરો એટલે નીટમાં આવશે અને બોર્ડ એક્ઝામમાં. Simple, right? It's so easy for me in physics. Chemistry માં એવું ન થાય. I hope you understand because you'll have to write a few answers as well over there. Same with biology. You have to learn how to write properly. Okay, so for us it's not much of a dilemma, so I'll hold on to the same track, right? Okay, so even if it's not there in your textbook, that doesn't mean it could not be asked. Okay, syllabus jowo pade, and every year they revise the NEET syllabus. All right, so why don't you write it? Okay, forgetting about whether it's given in your book or not. Write it once if you have not written it already. Done?
Yes.
Okay. One more point that comes to my mind regarding Reynolds number is about turbulence with aircraft or any flying vehicle. See, what happens is when an aircraft flies, it's good to have a steady or streamlined flow. Reason is things remain predictable. If the flow of air underneath the aircraft wings becomes unpredictable, then things can be dangerous. Right? Situation could go out of control very soon. Right? So they also do a lot of testing related to this. But obviously, before you even fly an aircraft, you should test it on the ground. Correct? So they make huge wind tunnels. I don't know whether you might be aware or not. They put a plane in the wind tunnel, and then instead of plane flying, they make air move. Relative motion. It gives the same effect. You understand? Whether plane moves and air remains still, or plane remains still and air moves in the opposite direction, relative motion is still the same. Make sense?
Yes.
So they test aircraft like this first before anyone flies using such an aircraft, right? Okay. So over there also, you know, when they test it, obviously, suppose V is diameter of wind tunnel, V is the speed with which they want the aircraft to fly. Okay, so all these parameters are important. So they check what really happens when the aircraft would fly at about, let's say, 700, 800 kilometers per hour. Understood what I said? Okay, so they want to check whether it will shake like crazy. Plane mein beta jo? How many of you have been on a plane? Okay. I don't know whether you might have noticed. Sometimes it happens that it starts to vibrate. Noted that in a turbulence, right? This happens exactly because of turbulent flow of air around the airplane, right? અમુક પ્લેન ખરેખર ખરાબ હોય તમને એવું થઈ જાય કે આને કદાચ બસમાં બેસે નોટ જોકિંગ અવાજ આવતો હોય ઓકે નાઉ coming back to this here, so that's the Reynolds number. Again, Reynolds number is related to what is the type of flow. એટલું યાદ રાખો આ ફોર્મ્યુલા યાદ રહેશે ને rho v d by I think 3 or 4 years ago some of the students used to remember it like rho d by eta. Okay. If that helps you to remember, you can remember it that way. I don't have to, right? Okay, if you can remember. I know it's a horrible way, but it's really up to you. If you can remember, very good. If you cannot, never mind. One thing that I want to clarify, any kind of shortcuts for remembering formula doesn't mean you will remember terms. Terms so આમ જ યાદ રાખો. Okay? Right. So that's about Reynolds number, and this is where we end the viscosity part of the chapter. Alright? एक word याद आयो. Sorry. There is a word. Please write this. Critical velocity. Okay, what is critical velocity? The maximum velocity of fluid possible or allowed for streamline flow. The maximum possible or allowed velocity for streamline. So, you know, if you want to basically calculate that out, do you realize we should do it like this? You see, I'm not writing V, I'm writing VC. VC, that is critical velocity. When this becomes 1000, that's it. Any limit out here. Now you can't increase the velocity more, otherwise the flow will not remain streamlined. Got it? So you can simplify this and you can finally write VC is equal to 1000 eta by rho d. Okay? લોકો આવું કઈ યાદ ન રાખતા. Definition યાદ હશે તો આટલું તો કરતા આવડશે જ ને. Very simple. You would have to remember these values, mind you. Okay? So there's a lot to remember now. Okay. Done? Are you ready? Okay. Now we go to surface tension. ये तो आवड़े थे तुमने? कहाँ के पढ़े? એવું કહી દીધું તો કેમેસ્ટ્રીમાં કે ફિઝિક્સમાં આવશે ને હું કહી દઉં કે કેમેસ્ટ્રીમાં આવ્યું ચાલશે એવું? ઓકે, so what is surface tension? As the name says, it's going going to be on the surface. And tension is a word that we normally refer to pulling. Right? That's why surface tension. Now, first of all, I'd like to clear out one misconception that people have. Although the name is surface tension, but it is not a force. Okay, surface tension is not a force. Right? Up until now, whenever we have talked about tension, it's a force. But surface tension is not a force. Then what is? First, let me explain it by drawing a diagram and then I'll write the proper definition. So let's say that there is some vessel and there's a fluid filled in that vessel, right? And we are watching this from the top. Okay, we are watching it from the top. Then it's going to look like this. Correct? We are seeing the upper surface. Now, over here, you can definitely imagine that there are lots of molecules on the surface. Yes or no?
Yes.
Or isn't the surface for molecules? You know it. So let's say there are so many molecules on the surface. Now, let's draw an imaginary line. Okay. Let's say this is water. I'm taking my pen and I'm drawing a line. Needless to say, the line is imaginary. Hi, nahi na line ke. Hi, avde tumne kota. Okay. So let's say that this line is imaginary. Suppose this imaginary line has length L. Suppose the imaginary line has length L. Now, do you realize that molecules of a real fluid, let's say water, oil, alcohol, any kind of liquid, it will have intermolecular forces, right? So, molecules on one side of the line are going to attract molecules on the other side of the line. So, this will pull this one, 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 like that, everywhere. You understand what I'm saying? So, do you realize, Siddharth, that there are so many intermolecular forces crossing this line? Yes or no? There are so many intermolecular forces crossing this line. Clear? But do you also realize that if you take one particular molecule, let's say this is some special one. Okay, we are studying about that. This molecule will be getting forces across the line from here, from here, from here, from here, from here. So you know, if I draw it larger, it will look like this. अब तो surface ऊपर रखते हो, नीचे का ही. Vedant, I don't know what the joke going on in your mind. Okay. Now, if you have got all these things, if you have got all these forces, what is the direction of resultant force? Yes, it would be perpendicular to the line. I hope that makes sense. What is the resultant number? Yes or no? Clear?
Yes.
If you add, let's say force 1 and 2, then their resultant is perpendicular to this line. Then if you add 3 and 4, once again, same thing is going to happen. Clear? So ultimately, the net force is in this line. Vedant, better wear your mask. Arms with you. Stand up. Stand up. કોઈ દિવસ માસ્ક પહેરવાનું તમને કીધું હોય તો પછી સમજીને પહેરી લેવું છે. ડુ નોટ રિએક્ટ ઇન એન ઓકવર્ડ મેનર. હજી તમે લોકોએ મારો ગુસ્સો જોયો નથી, તમને ખબર જ નથી. તો હું સ્ટ્રિક્ટ થઈ જઈશ ને તો પછી તમારું બધું બંધ થઈ જશે. ઓકે, so hopefully everyone will comply. માસ્ક તમે ઓવરઓલ કોક વખત કાઢતા હોય, નીચે કરતા હોય બરાબર, પછી કહીએ તો સમજીને પહેરી લેવું જોઈએ, બરાબર કે નહીં? ડુ યુ એગ્રી વિથ મી? ઓકે, so here we have the resultant force in this direction. All right, now if you consider resultant force in this direction, the same thing is actually true for every other point. The same thing is going to happen at every other point. Clear? So if you would add up all the forces, the net force is going to be in a line perpendicular. Agree? Let's repeat what I said in that last sentence. I said that if you add all the forces, the net force is going to be in which direction? Perpendicular to this imaginary line. Correct?
Yes.
Sure? Everyone got that? Now, if the net force is perpendicular to this imaginary line, right, we are going to define surface tension. Okay, this is the proper time to write the definition. It is the net force, net intermolecular, okay, net intermolecular force acting across and perpendicular to an imaginary line drawn on surface of a liquid. I am clarifying, I am writing liquid here. Gases do not have surface tension. Is that okay? Because gases don't have a surface like this. If you fill gas in a beaker, what will happen? It will not have a surface, upper surface. You agree with what I'm saying?
Yes.
If you fill gas in a beaker like I shown at the start, so why will I now? Okay, so net intermolecular force acting across and perpendicular to an imaginary line drawn on surface of a liquid. આટલું સમજાણું?
Yes.
This is the force we are talking about.
Yes.
For unit length of the line. Per unit length of the. So અહીંયા સુધી તો એવું લાગતું હતું કે આ force જ હશે, but it's not force. It is force per unit length. So generally symbol of surface tension is S or T. Generally symbol of surface tension is S or T. Clear? You could use either symbol, right? If you are getting T for tension and getting confused because of that, you can write S. I don't know. Some will write S, some write T. It's fine. Depending on whatever I can recall. So S or T is equal to force perpendicular to the line per unit length. Now S is equal to force perpendicular to the line per unit length. Got it?
Yes.
So this is surface tension. What do you think will be its unit? Newton. Alright, unit SI unit of surface tension. SI unit of surface tension is Newton per meter. Okay? It is Newton per meter. Alright, so that is what T is or S is. right? Surface tension. So one thing that I'd like to clarify further is that in which direction are these forces? They are perpendicular to the line, but they are in the plane of the surface. What do I mean by in the plane? Suppose there is a beaker like this. I am on the surface. It is in that plane. See the difference? Suppose you think of here is where the upper surface is. Then the force is not towards inside. It is like this. Make sense? Or maybe like this, depending on how you are drawing line. But it will be in the line in the plane of surface. You understand what I mean by plane of surface? Right? ऊपर से जो है तो आम देखा है, not going inside. Absolutely clear? Now you might have a question: why do we have surface tension on the surface only? You can know why. It should be there because intermolecular forces are everywhere. So BJ reason is as follows. If you would think of a point in the bulk of fluid is inside. If you think of a point in the bulk that is inside. Surface and bulk, they are two different things, right? Surface and this is bulk. Now if you think of a point in the bulk of fluid, right? This is going to be attracted from all directions. Can't get anybody but fluid. But on the other hand, what happens for this one on the surface is that it's not surrounded in every direction. Khali neeche se. Make sense? Yes or no?
Yes.
So that's why in the bulk, intermolecular force is still there. In the bulk, intermolecular force is still there. But what? There is no surface tension. Because from every direction, a particular molecule is not going to get any kind of force. Right? Also, one more way to understand how surface tension works, or why do we call it surface, is as follows. Think of let's say a piece of cloth. Let's say 4 people are holding it from 4 corners. Okay, understood? Big piece of cloth. 4 people are holding it from 4 corners. And you drop a ball in it. What do you think will happen? What will happen? This cloth will get what is that called? I forgot that exact word. Never mind. It will have a fit in it, correct? Roughly speaking, its shape will change and it will get curved like this, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Why? Because of the force of that ball, correct? There is one more reason, if you think about it. When you put that in the fibers, there is tension. Do you understand what I am saying? When you put that in the fibers तो समझ पड़े कि नहीं? Right, of which the cloth is made, there is going to be tension. That tension will pull the ball up, and finally the ball will not be able to go through the cloth, correct? Same thing happens with surface tension. Let's say this is a water surface. When a mosquito will come over here and try to sit on it. Have you ever noticed that mosquitoes can sit on the water surface? In fact, it is essential for their reproduction, isn't it? If you know, right? So what would happen if they sit on the surface? Surface is not a solid. Do you agree? It's on the way, but that doesn't happen. Why? Why? Because when the mosquito will sit on it, right? The molecules of the fluid, they are attracting each other. It's a similar situation like this. I hope you understand what I am saying. The molecules of the fluid, they are all attracting each other. So if one pug અહીંયા વચ્ચે હશે તો molecule ને ખસવું પડશે. You get what I'm saying? But because the molecules are attracting each other, they will not move away. So surface will not get broken. You understand what I'm saying? Surface will not get broken and the mosquito will be able to sit on it as if this is a piece of cloth. આપણે કરવા જઈએ તો no થાય. Fine. Theoretically possible, the surface tension should be very high. Right? Okay, so like you can put a maximum limit of mass. આટલું mass હોય તો વાંધો નહીં. એનાથી વધુ હોય તો અંદર. Alright? So that's why this is also called surface tension. Hopefully you understand why we choose this name. Right? You can turn it off.